So, my point is that human violence will find a way, and it's not going anywhere, and it's not new. It's part of the culture and part of the species. And metal detectors at places known to be centers of high emotion, like courthouses, absolutely. Good idea, because that's a frequent risk. We live in a nation with more guns than adults. And before we adjourn today, another 20,000 guns will enter the stream of commerce in America. And no exploration of risk or fear in America can be complete without a clear-eyed look down the barrel of that statistic. The leading cause of death today to teenage boys, for the first time in our history, is gunfire in America. Black, white, urban, suburban. Used to be, when we were kids, it was car accidents, but what happened? Well, cars got safer, thanks to government, and guns got more dangerous and more available, also in part, thanks to government. So weapons detection at high schools? You bet, absolutely. Now what about bombs? Well, explosives, we know now, are not the only way to ruin a federal building. You can also do it with bad architecture. You can do it with frightened architecture. A shooting from the sidewalk, and we'll add bulletproof glass. Then a bomb, and we'll add X-ray machines and bomb dogs. Then a bomb outside the building, new wrinkle, and we'll add vehicle barricades. Then a shooting from across the highway, as happened at the CIA as employees were arriving one morning. And then what do we add? Fences. And though Americans want safety, there's something they want even more. And Ambassador Carpenter and Special Agent Rice will get this completely. It's something our protectors in law enforcement work with every day. What Americans really want, what they really want out of you in government and you in design, is someone to blame after an incident. For the men and women whom we task to make buildings safer, some of whom are in this building, and for the law enforcement professionals whom we task to protect us, some of whom are also here, I propose that we enter into a new contract of fairness, a contract that says we invest in you our confidence, that you'll do the best you can with the resources we make available. And we will not rescind that confidence the next time the natural tide of human emotion surges momentarily over some federal building. That's an important issue here today, because what you hear a lot of is, I don't want to be the guy that signed off on no barricades in St. Louis. I don't want to be that guy either. But somebody has to be that guy ultimately, or this, in America, keeps going on. It's very hard to reverse precautions once they're in place. I'm 45. I don't expect I'll live long enough to see those barricades on Pennsylvania Avenue come down. That'd be a hard call for somebody to make. Not impossible. No matter how we design the buildings, Americans are living with lots of fear, and no matter what you do to the lobby, you cannot cure their anxiety as they walk through it. And today we have to be a little bit more like Moynihan, I think, which is brave enough to say, we will not let Timothy McVeigh be this nation's most influential architect. And I think we need that courage today specifically because a lot of people are afraid and are worrying about things that aren't likely to happen. We need to help people understand that worry is not a precaution. In fact, it's the opposite, because it distracts us from finding solutions to problems. And our survival brilliance, and we have it, is wasted when we spend it on unlikely risks, flesh-eating diseases, and foreign viruses. And the solution to violence in America is not more alarm systems, not more barricades, or fewer open plazas, or thicker glass, or more guns. The solution to violence in America is acceptance of reality, so that we all participate in evaluating risk, and not just charge a few people to do it so we can blame them later on. One thing we deny, for example, this is the big one, is that risk is part of life, part of what gives vitality to life. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives, often because of unwarranted fear. Worrying is a lot easier for most people than learning, and here's one of the things that people would have to learn. government can't do anything about risk in your lives except move it around. Now, I say that worry does not serve us. It does serve one segment of our population very well. It serves the people in the business of scaring us on the local TV news. Think about this. The town crier of yesteryear walked up and down the cobble street road and he said, 11 o'clock and all's well. The town crier of today says, 11 o'clock and mother's milk causes crib death. And a month after the World Trade Center bombing, I turned on the news in New York. Do you fear another bombing? Experts who say you should. Next up. And the story then shows all the scariest footage from 30 days before, ending with the reporter's ominous summary. But New Yorkers still go to sleep at night, worried that it could all happen again. Well, yes, we do if you put it in front of us right before we go to bed at 11 o'clock at night. You win. Congratulations. We're worried about bombs. And after the LA earthquake, where I was, I saw Geraldo Rivera on the news. He was out at a hotel in Los Angeles. He doesn't live there, and he was interviewed, and he said it was as if a giant axe tore through the hotel room. No, it was a little more like being on a bumpy bus, Geraldo. No axe, and nobody even understands the metaphor of what it would be like if a giant axe did come through the room. It's not effective. But it's all this fear. So we turn on the Channel 2 news, and they say, this is a week after the earthquake. Next up, what would have happened if the earthquake had caused a tidal wave? Experts tell you. So I was still sweeping up broken glass in the driveway when they ran that story, and I thought, well, for one thing, if there was a tidal wave, we wouldn't have to sweep up all this glass. So it's not entirely bad. But we just had an earthquake, for God's sake. Did we really have to be thinking about a tidal wave? Or during a fire we had at an oil refinery in Los Angeles, one of our local news anchors, whose hands literally are out here. The stories are so exciting sometimes. And I don't want to name him here, but his name is Paul Moyer. And he said that this fire at an oil refinery, which was burning off fuel a lot like a Buick does, no poison gases, no trouble, he said it was reminiscent of the disaster at Bhopal, India, where thousands had died of toxic gases. And I thought, no. The only thing reminiscent of the disaster at Bhopal, India, was his frothing at the mouth as he was gurgling out this fear-provoking nonsense.